What's up, everyone, and welcome to JMD Play. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the season 3. This is the last day of season 3, and the runners. And I wanted to just briefly kind of talk real quick about what I thought about, overall, what I thought about this season and how well it went. And how it rates for me, like amongst other seasons, and although I have not like played every single season in the game or something like that, but I have been playing for a few years now, and I thought maybe when I would talk about this for a little bit. So thank you very much for joining me here. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you'd like to check out more, please do. Consider subscribing, like, share, comment, all that good stuff. That would be amazing. And if you'd like to check out videos from my other channels, JMD Drummer, Clear Talk, Puzzling. If you would like to, if you like what you see over there and want to subscribe over there, that would be amazing as well. All of that's free for you. It helps out tremendously. It's Patreon there up above. $2 a month, support any of the channels you'd like to help grow those channels, help grow Patreon. Merch right there as well. I have merch for every single channel, and if you're a Patreon member, you get a discount on the merch. So even more reason to be a Patreon member. Either way, any way you support is very much appreciated. Thank you very much. And if you return, you're freaking amazing. So welcome back. Okay, so so chapter 7, season 3, runners. What did I think of this chapter? All right, so first off, for me, I mean, I think real quick, just overall, it was a really good season. I would even argue one of the best seasons that Fortnite has had in a while. And most of that, probably controversial, I don't know, but most of that was because of the sprites. I mean, I know there were some people that didn't particularly care for the sprites being in the game. But I think that, or at least at first, thought it was a bit much, a bit weird. I would even say maybe at the beginning, I thought it may have been a little bit overwhelming as well. And didn't know quite how to, I don't know, it was a little bit of I wouldn't say a learning curve, but it was a little bit of a change, a change in the game, and trying to work with that change and see how that change developed. And I think that Fortnite did a good job of developing it along across the season, bringing in more sprites, bringing in different versions of them. It kept you engaged. It kept you interested. The more you got yourself engaged in it. And so I think it was overall really good. I mean, clearly I am level 530. That is the highest I have ever been in a single season in Fortnite for myself personally. So I think it was overall really good. As far as the sprite combinations and stuff like that, the sprites were really interesting to me. You bring in even in the different variants, in the different gameplay that helped, create. I think that was really good. Your water sprites, fire, all the different ones, earth, all that was really cool. The duck sprite, which was just really a play on with the pass, having the duck. It really became sort of irrelevant, though. I mean, it was probably one of the least relevant sprites, probably of all of them, honestly, for me. The ghost, actually a really cool sprite. I mean, if you looking at it, cloaking you while you're reloading, that was actually probably really helped in a lot of situations, helping you move and avoid other people returning the favor on you, or at least having to try to track and follow you once that it's I would say arguably one of the better sprites. And the dream, I mean, I don't think anybody concerned themselves with the dream sprite for the most part. And then with the glitch of the dream sprites as well, was a bit of a problem with maxing them out. That was frustrating because whenever you brought it back, it would leave out of the match on its own voluntarily once you maxed it. the only sprite to do so. And then when you got back in, it was level 1 instead of level 5, which was very frustrating for some, confusing at first especially, but then very frustrating after the fact, making it impossible for you to trade, is at least a mastered version, as you know, if you were into the trading part. And very weird, something that Fortnite never even attempted to fix. And which, I mean, we know that there's things that we oftentimes see happen in a season. It's clearly a problem, but Fortnite for some reason does not decide to prioritize it as far as fixing it. Why? I do not know why. It does not seem like, it doesn't make much sense, in my opinion, that this is the only sprite that did that, and why it did that. It does not, I just don't know. But nevertheless, Demon Sprite, probably arguably one of the better sprites altogether, with the siphoning of health and stuff. Really cool sprite. Punk Sprite, very confusing at first. Nobody knew what the hell it was for. Then once you figured out that it, you know, what its ability was basically was giving you limited ammo, but the only problem with that was that it was basically only at level 5, and so it was not really worth anything until you were level 5. Which was very weird, and the only sprite, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that really even did that. King Sprite was probably huge, I would assume, in build mode, with the pickaxe damage, so pretty cool. We had your other sprites that were kind of whatever. Vinny was actually pretty decent to give you a little limited boost speed and stuff, increase rate of fire and reload speed. Really, actually, probably, you know, as one of just a passive sprite, you know, that you just come across or decided to use, it wasn't bad. One of the most rare sprites in the game, 0 Point, almost useless, honestly, as a gameplay sprite, because the shield bubble, while yes, it's kind of okay, I guess, but you know, thinking of it being a mythic and one of the most sought after sprites in the game, comparing that to its ability, especially compared to others, it's very lackluster. The fishy, of course, you know, it made sense. Increased speed, swimming, whatever, but that only affects you in water. How many people actually run around swimming in water? Whatever. The striker, getting the overdrive effect, that's really cool, and that was every time you hurdled or wall scrambled and mantled, anything like that. It actually was quite useful at times, and pretty cool. Or the shock rock, kind of a weird one, because it seemed like it worked sometimes and didn't for me. I don't know. It when it did work, I guess it was cool, but it also only gave you, you know, a couple. I guess level may have made a difference, but whatever. You were better off, honestly, just carrying shock rocks than worrying with actually having the aura on your back. But this boss, arguably, probably the best sprite in the game, giving you the increased, you know, maxed out HP and shield, that gave you an additional 100 health, basically. 50 health. Give you an additional 50 health. I mean, that can be very vital in a fight. Very much so. So arguably probably the best one. Cube Grim, giving you only an effect in Storm. Or am I right there? No, yeah, marking the duration, yeah. Players that you check. This one was probably pretty decent also, I would argue, although I don't think that many people wore them in game because they were so sought after, because they were, again, kind of like the 0 Point, very rare to find. So, you know, if you did wear it in, you were oftentimes a target. But probably as far as a mythic, I would argue players, you know, you attack marked for duration is probably pretty decent. Air Sprite being the unlimited fall, fairly useful, but and giving you a little bit of a higher jump speed and sprint stuff, not bad. I would say the 7 Sprite was probably an underrated sprite, that, you know, tracking people, that is actually quite useful in many instances, especially when you're trying to hunt somebody and they're getting away with the amount of mobility we had this season. Actually, was very useful, that I think was probably underused. The Iron Sprite, it was kind of an in and out thing. The regeneration was kind of weak, and it was just one of those. It was just thrown in. Here you go. Here's an extra Sprite. People, the hours that it was hyped, people went in, got them pretty easily, and then from there it was just shared, I think, basically. But it's a forgettable Sprite, quite frankly. In the Poyo Sprite, kind of the same, I would feel like. Slowly replenishing shield for you during this, and for the squad. I mean, maybe it was somewhat useful, at least for somebody to carry it in a squad situation, maybe, but not. Other than that, no. Loot and Llama, ammo boxes, granting you weapons upgrades. I mean, maybe, but it came so late into the season. I'm not sure that it probably wasn't found to be as useful as it probably would if it would have been put in earlier in the season. And then the PLE, this one being the kind of leaker for you as a player, marking where you are, even though it did reveal variants, include enemies with variants, and marked nearby sprites or whatever, but it also, of course, revealed your location, which, I don't think anybody really wants their location revealed. But Batman, I would argue, was one of the, in my opinion, worst ones. I can't stand the bat effect, because it was frustrating, especially if you're wanting to fall on something, or make use of the new falling mechanic. It could really mess you up, especially if you forgot that you had it on. John Wick was probably, honestly, one of the best. Even though I don't know how often it got used, but it was probably one of the best ones in the game. But there again, it came in late into the season. But knocked players revealing others nearby, that's pretty huge, honestly. In my opinion, the only thing that was a bit much was the ratio of summoning back sprites versus what you got from sprites as you evacuated them or from the game, sending them extracting them through the game, because that ratio seemed way off, in my opinion. I feel like that there should have been closer. If the if a sprite cost you 10,000 to summon back, then the extraction of it should have been at least half that, and that's in my honest opinion. That way you felt like, okay, yeah, losing it is like double on you, but the fact that it was 10,000 to summon back, but yet you sending it out only got you, I think one of the highest of the sprites, like the 0 Point and Grim, they were both 10,000. All the mythics were 10,000. I think summoning them back was roughly, or rather, extracting them was rather like, it was somewhere around 700 or so, 750, maybe 800 or so. Not even 1,000, I don't think, as far as getting sprite dust off extractions. So maybe at level 5, I think maybe you would have gotten 1,000. I don't remember. But it just seemed significantly burdensome to lose a sprite. It felt like, if you're trying to wear one in and master it up or whatever, the time it takes to master one, especially if you weren't using 2-time, sprite dust leveling or whatever, during the summer event or during your master days, losing one felt like extremely burdensome. It really hit you to the core if you wind up losing one because you couldn't get it extracted. Somebody griefing you or whatever the case, because just knowing that the amount of sprite dust it would take for you to summon that one back, that was quite burdensome. That's the only thing that I feel that I would have liked to have seen adjusted. Granted, they probably would not have agreed or didn't agree with like a half thing, but I mean, at least a quarter. I mean, that would, I feel like, would be more significant and wouldn't have felt so burdensome. Knowing that you could probably just send out a few sprites, because on average, a game, you might be able to send out 4 or 5 sprites. That would at least allow you to summon one back. If you just were concentrated for one game, got sprite dust out, then you could summon one big one back. Where in this case, it felt like you had to play multiple matches before you could even attempt to summon one back. So that was quite burdensome, in my opinion. One other thing that I felt was a little odd is the reward system. The fact that there's 117 sprites, but yet you only got awarded for 70 of them, which I feel made it like there was no reason to master more than that, where, if you wanted to master all like I did, 117, but yet after 70, it felt like it was just, you were just doing it to do it, there was no actual reward really for doing so. You did continue, I think, to get some extractors and things like that, but as far as any kind of major rewards, you weren't receiving anything after 70, and I do feel like they kind of slacked on that. I think there should have been some grand prize to master all 117 sprites, whatever that would be. Maybe an ultimate glider or something, or even something more, maybe even a skin or something, that something they could have rewarded for mastering all of them, to try to even help push people to do so, but anyways, but overall, I think the season was really well done. It certainly brought a lot more players to the game, kept people and players, I think, engaged, probably, even though I haven't looked at like the data over the season, but I would assume that it kept a more consistent player base in the game because of this, having that continuous adding of sprites, adding of variants, the bonus days, bonus hours where you had more likelihood of them coming out, although early on that felt like that was almost the exact opposite, because I know the first few Saturdays of power hours I felt like I wasn't seeing anything that was supposed to be powered at those hours, and that was frustrating. But I mean, I think that it was really good for the game, helping bring it back, and then the fact that they are going to continue, and I can only assume because of the success of it, they're going to continue and hold on to that. So now, it doesn't feel like you just did all this work for a season and then that was it. The fact that they're going to continue it, we're going to get the sprite garden and potential for, even these sprites, if they're not immediately available or not immediately engaging with the new season, at some point in the future, whether it be in this season or even a season after that, potentially coming back, the sprites continuing possibly even into the next chapter, and maybe, however long they decide to keep them going. I think it's really, really interesting, and it makes you feel like what you did do this season, you're going to be able to continue on and continue growing that going forward. So I think it's a really, really good thing. As far as like comparison to other seasons, again, I think this is one of the best seasons that they've had in a long time. My favorite season is still arguably probably the first season that I started, or the first 2 seasons, because I started chapter 3, season 3, and I feel like Chapter 3 was still ultimately my favorite chapter. Even though, and Season 3 and 4, I think were some of the best seasons that I've played in this game. And I don't know if that's just, for me at this point, nostalgic, or that I just prefer some of the mechanics or stuff that was in the game at that point. I still think that the chrome effect and stuff that was in the game was some of the best effects and interesting gameplay for the game, and there just really hasn't been much since. There was other elements in the game at that point too, from the animals and stuff that were in the game. I thought that was really cool. Other stuff that was in the game at that point as well, that they haven't really went back to. Although, you know, it's potentially coming back here before long, maybe. I mean, I know some people have been hinting at some stuff coming back, but I still feel like those are still some of the better, those are still some of the best seasons that I've played, and I know others that played seasons before that, whether they were in Chapter 1 technically or Chapter 2, you know, kind of feel the same about that for them too. Again, that some degree of that's just nostalgia, but because I still think Chapter 4 was a very good chapter overall as well. Chapter 5 brought in some new things that, you know, and the bullet drop stuff that a lot of people had problems with. That did get reversed in Chapter 6, which made a lot of people feel a little bit better. I mean, I didn't have a whole lot of problem with that in Chapter 5, but it just made you, if anything, it made you better at the game, I feel, if you really took it seriously. But as far as the chapter overall, 5 probably, it certainly wasn't as good as 4 in my opinion. 6, again, same thing. It wasn't even quite as good as 5 in my opinion. I mean, it kind of went down in my after every chapter just a little bit for me. Well, Chapter 6 may not have been quite as bad as 5, but it wasn't as good as 4. But this chapter, arguably at this point, especially the amount of work, and especially since people were afraid that Fortnite was like going downhill, and that all of these new multiverse, multi-game kind of stuff, and especially after Epic fired quite a few people from Epic and downsized. A lot of people were concerned about, okay, the game's going to go downhill. They're not going to put out as much content. We're not going to get as much updates. We're going to, it's going to kind of wash out. I feel like this chapter, they have potentially been even more engaging and more elements, more changes, more things done in the game to keep you captured in the game this chapter than probably at least the previous 2 chapters, 6 and 5, maybe even questionably 4. So I feel like, that Epic at this point, Fortnite is really doing well in this chapter. Season 1 may have felt a little slow and down, I think, but I think they picked it up as the chapters went along. And I think everybody seems to be pretty excited about Season 4. I know I am. The legacy thing, of course, that just adds into some nostalgia for me, and I'm excited for it. So, yeah. But again, runners, when it first was, released and stuff, or when the things started coming out, everybody was kind of confused by it. Didn't really know what the point of it was going to be. We just knew the sprites were going to be there, and I think there was a lot of confusion about that. But once it dropped, and we all got in and we started playing, and started understanding, what the season was going to be about. I think it only got better from there, and was a really good season in my opinion. One of the best that we've had in a while. So, thank you, Fortnite, for this season, for the sprites. It's helped me as a creator and being more engaged in getting more, people involved on my live streams and all this kind of stuff. So it's been all around good for me, and hopefully going forward it will continue to help and improve those experiences. So thank you for you watching and all that on that. But anyways, thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you in the new season. Peace. JMD Play. I'm out.